would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land in which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I stand here today on behalf of the Free West Papua Campaign as our spokesperson and good friend Alpheus Meek was unable to attend. I would like to thank all the organisers of this event for providing an opportunity to share crucial information from West Papua. Indigenous Melanesian people of West Papua have endured racial injustice for the past 57 years under illegal Indonesian occupation and in collusion with the Australian government. West Papua is located 250 kilometres north of Australia, our closest neighbours, but you may have never heard of such injustice as international media access is banned in West Papua. It is for this reason you may not have heard about the 500,000 who have lost their lives in the slow-motion genocide, or the racism, torture, rape and arrest experienced. Eden Babari and Ronnie Wandi, aged 19 and 23, were recently shot dead by Indonesian security forces whilst out fishing to provide food for their families during the coronavirus lockdown. It is not an unusual event to occur in West Papua, and I guarantee you every single West Papuan has their own story from the brutality of Indonesia. We just need to listen to their cries for help. The scenes we see in America right now to demand justice for the death of George Floyd are similar to those of the uprising in West Papua. On the 17th of August 2019, a date which celebrated Indonesia's 74th proclamation of independence from Dutch rule, it had been reported that an Indonesian flag was damaged outside a West Papuan student dormitory in Surabaya, Indonesia. The report spread and attracted a crowd who taunted the students with racial speech, such as kick out Papua right now, and monkeys, get out, go back to West Papua. The crowd demanded the students to come out so they could kick them out and kill them, massacre Papua. Meanwhile, the students were trapped in the dorm without food and electricity for 24 hours. Indonesian anti-terrorism unit detachment tear gas into the student dorm, and the 43 students were arrested, despite later released again as there was no evidence to prove this accusation. In the largest uprising seen in the history of West Papua, thousands of West Papuans took to the street in demonstration. Free West Papua, and we are not red and white, we are the Morning Star, was chanted in the masses. The Morning Star flag that you see behind me today was raised in all cities across West Papua and even some in Indonesia, an action which can result in 15 years imprisonment. Demonstration continued for 2 months against racism and the demand for legal right to self-determination. In response, Indonesia deployed over 6,000 police and military personnel into West Papua. It is important to note that the Australian government and the Australian Federal Police have used a minimum of 8.4 million of our own taxpayers' dollars to train and fund such personnel linked to the human right violation, even on our own soil. The personnel opened gunfire on demonstration, which led to some of the bloodiest days seen in the history of West Papua. And even those students who had returned home from cities within Indonesia in fear of safety were not safe. The Indonesian government continued to shut down internet, phone signal and social media across the whole of West Papua. At the time I received this poem from West Papua, we only want independence. We ask to determine our own destiny. We have never asked for Indonesia to determine the fate of the people of West Papua. We Papuan students who are outside the island of Papua, our lives are uncomfortable. We are threatened. We want to go home because our mother and father are crying, blood-bathed, and are calling us home. We pray and fight for our West Papuan nation, an independent and prosperous future without interference in our own land. Now on the 6th of June 2020, amidst the Black Lives Matter movement, 7 West Papuan political prisoners have been charged for treason in their involvement in the uprising of West Papua. Henki Hilapok, 5 years imprisonment. Irwanus Urob Mabin, 5 years imprisonment. Alexander Gobai, 10 years imprisonment. Ferry Gombo, 10 years imprisonment. Stefano Sitle, 15 years imprisonment. Agus Kose, 15 years imprisonment. And Buchdar Tabuni, 17 years imprisonment. All the student leaders in prominent universities or high-profile activists of the freedom movement in West Papua. Meanwhile, the perpetrators of the initial racial speech have received just 10 months imprisonment. We demand justice now. Cindy Makapori, a brave West Papuan student who spoke out at the Black Lives Matter protest in Melbourne last weekend, stated, "West Papua resonates with the Black and Indigenous communities in America, Australia and everywhere else in the world right now. We empathise with you. We feel your pain, anger, loss and understand your everyday struggle because we too have suffered for 58 years under illegal Indonesian occupation. Let's rise up and stand up together to fight the justice system and make justice happen." I invite you to raise your left fist and speak with the people of Papua. Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
Free West Papua!
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.